everybody. Welcome to Monday Night Therapy. Minnie is joining me because I'm capable of doing things alone. Incapable. That's what I meant to say. That's how we're going to start with just
That's it.
mispronunciations. And, you saw that flyover into Memorial Stadium.
Oh, beautiful.
I need to check if there's one of those for, a night game, if they have any drone footage that I can grab anywhere for
Oh, that
night,
would be so neat.
it would be
I
beautiful.
love that. Oh my goodness. Hey,
Hey,
we
hey.
we beat Northern Iowa.
Yeah, we did. We beat them up. Here, we'll just start talking about that. Beth Merrigan, our volleyball writer, should join us halfway through the show to talk about volleyball because we need a volleyball update. But I did try to contact some Illini, and they didn't get back to me, so screw them. That's my feeling about them, and I hope we kick the shit out of them Friday night. Like beat them into the ground, and Bert's over there eating pizza, frozen pizza, because he's just anyway. We had to start with a Bert joke. I saw people, I saw a lot of people that weren't happy with this win over Northern Iowa.
I
I
just
saw,
can't believe that.
I go around and I look at social media stuff, and because
Mhm.
I'm a masochist, and I saw, for example, people on Adam Carricker's social page saying, one of them very specifically said, our defense was exposed. And I thought, what the
Oh,
hell is what we
oh,
gave up 3 points. How is our defense exposed?
thank you. In
You know,
3 games, they've our defense has allowed only 2 touchdowns.
yeah. It,
And
I mean,
that is we're doing better than any other team out there. Compared to Illinois, their defense has given up 26. We've given up a total of 20 points. And
yep.
like I said, only 2 of them were touchdowns.
Yeah, I don't get the outrage. I mean, you guys, we got some commenting going on. What Okay, we'll just go ahead. Fred Sacco right away. Who's tonight's guest, John? Bill him as dietitian or his gravy sommelier? And
Sommelier.
I however you pronounce sommelier. Like I said, I did try to reach out. I mean, I was even ahead of time. I sent those guys messages on like
Huh,
Thursday, and then I hit them up on Twitter on like Friday, and they still did nothing. So I don't know if they're afraid or what the hell is the deal.
yeah.
Roger Moore says breaking news: Colorado is not going to win the national championship. Let's see if they'll make it to a bowl game. Here's the thing with Colorado. I feel no hate in my heart for them anymore because it's all just been drubbed out by us kicking the shit out of them. I keep seeing people post stuff about Shadir didn't shake the other guy's hand or didn't whatever, the Colorado State
So s
quarterback, and I thought, what? Who gives a? I don't care. I don't.
yeah.
I just we're now on the rear view. Colorado's in the rear view mirror. I'm going to
Um,
look forward to what happens with them the rest of the season, mostly so I can laugh at them, but mostly I don't care. Charles Hullett says, "Oh, and I smashed that like button. Please do that if you're on YouTube. I don't know what you do on Twitter to handle the algorithm, but smash the like button on Twitter." And Charles Hullett, I'm just here for the ranty bits. I hope I have the energy for that tonight. But we'll see what happens. Braska
get you
Rascal
fired
says,
up.
"Wow, Minnie on a Monday night. That's because she's here to help." The
I'm in
crusty
the
old man.
background.
Linda Wilkins says 180 yards after contact.
Mhm,
We did not. Yeah, I think even Matt Rule said they needed to clean up the tackling.
mhm.
But I want to ask you something. Let me. I'm going to bring up the game book on my other monitor. Okay,
Okay.
and the game
Like it.
book is the official stats.
This is
Uh,
my favorite.
and let me get to the part where actually the statistics are. Come on, where you at?
Okay.
Uh, what was the longest play you think we gave up to uh, Northern?
Uh, it was the one, right before halftime? No, it was the one right before the end of the first quarter. Am I right?
I don't know. I don't remember the play. I'm just looking at the stats. Uh,
Oh, okay.
Rushing, the longest play was 11 yards. By definition, that's not an explosive play. An explosive play, by
No,
definition, is 20 yards and over. So
that's what you said.
their top rusher had 11 for 50 for a 4.5 average. Next guy up had 11 for 40 for 3.5. Passing, long was 21 by their backup quarterback, thrown to Sergio Moranci. So one explosive
Okay.
play during out that entire game. Uh, that's that's pretty good. I mean, realize we were playing a FCS school, but I have this
That's
theory about.
really good.
I don't know why this happens, but uh, well, I do know why it happens. I'll tell you a story. You want to hear a story?
We need to hear stories, yes.
Okay, years ago, many years ago, because I've been alive for centuries, I taught for 2 years at a community college.
Really?
Yes, I did.
What did you teach?
I taught IT stuff to older gentlemen. Now I would be the older gentleman, but then I was the younger gentleman. That's how many years ago it was. I was teaching networking to older guys who are being laid off because their mainframe skills were no longer relevant. And I taught for 2 years, but at every end of every semester they gave out reviews. You had to do an
Mhm.
evaluation. Okay, so I
Oh,
had like 20 people in my first class, and I still remember this. That's why I'm telling the story. 20 people, and I went through the reviews, and some of them were kind of, did a good job. He was okay. Some of them thought I was fantastic, but there was one guy that had capital letters, hated my guts, couldn't stand
what?
me, didn't think I should be teaching. All these just horrible, nasty things he said about me. And out of those 20 people, which review do you think I remember the most?
Of course. The one that
Yeah,
said horrible
yeah.
things.
Yeah. So this is relevant because I think when people
Mhm.
say stuff like they exposed our run defense or they exposed our defense, I think that somewhere in our minds we have this vision of past Nebraska teams never giving up a more than a 5 yard gain during an entire game. And I think that we just focus on, one play for 11 yards, one play for 21 yards. And we act like that happened throughout the entire game. And it didn't happen throughout the entire
It
game.
didn't.
You know, we held them to
Well, I
139 yards net rushing. So,
oh, okay.
we only had one sack, but yet if you noticed, like I mentioned in my post game thing,
Yeah.
we barely blitzed. A lot of the times we
Mhm.
rushed three guys and we rushed maybe four guys. And I think that's key going forward to the season. If you remember back in the hallowed days of Ndamukong Suh, he was such a force that we only had to rush three guys. And what that does on defense is it provides you with such a mathematical advantage. You have more guys to cover their receivers because one of your guys is probably occupying two blockers. Uh, I think that is stuff you look forward to going forward throughout the season. Um, I don't get the negativity. I really don't.
Okay. Well, Charles Hollett brings up a good point, questions, less question. I was surprised by how much they passed against us because we know that they are a running team, yet they passed a lot. And I think that was perhaps the shift is once we got used to that, our defense just pummeled them.
Well, typically teams are going to do on offense what you give them, right? So your
Mhm.
alignment is going to determine a lot of plays. So they passed for they rushed 39, they threw 32 times.
Oh,
So yeah, they
okay.
probably have a heavier run ratio when they're playing people at their own level.
Yeah.
Okay. Just
Does that statistic, does it give us what, how many times they were able to convert a third down drive? Because it seemed like it happened an awful lot in the first quarter.
It probably does. I'm not sure where in the game book it does.
Okay.
But
I'll have
we
to
can
look
do
for that.
something else. We can go.
What?
You know what? You know what I'm going to do?
What?
I'm going to present some information.
Ooh, I love it.
And we're going to see. I'm going to, you know what I'm going to do? Here's what we're going to do for the rest of this part of the show is I'm going to share
Okay.
with you guys what I use to look at teams. Okay. This is cfbstats.com is what this is. Okay. And we're going to take a look through this stuff. How do I get that? Okay. All right. So when you say, let's say, if you'll notice the cfbstats.com, this is a site I've been using for years. And when I want to look at a team, this is where I go. Normally, when you're doing a preview, like we're going to look at Illinois, you want to talk about their players. That's what most people do. They talk about this guy's the quarterback, his completion rate percentage. This is his, interception to TD to interception ratio, things like that. But that's nice, but it doesn't give you an overall picture of the team. So when we look at, for example, look at this. This is all the stats you can look at. Okay, for each team in the nation, by national or by conference. So what on this page, this entire page, there's literally only two things here that really count. Okay, there's scoring offense, because you have to score points to win the game, right? And let's see, notice all these people. Tennessee's 63 points a game, for God's sakes. That's going to go down as they go through it. Nebraska right now is at 44th with 34 points a game. 44th sounds horrible, doesn't it, nationally? But that we're early in the season and people are playing a lot of, patsies. So
Yeah.
it doesn't really mean that much right now, scoring offense. But let's go back and let's take a look at the other one. Let's look at, wait a minute. Let's go back and let's look at Illinois. Where's Illinois? Oops, there's Northern.
They're
They're
behind
50.
us.
Yeah, they're 54 at 32 points a game.
Okay.
And here's the big one. Let's look at scoring defense.
Ooh.
And where do we got? I want you to look at the teams that, let's just say the top 10 here. Okay, so you've got Ohio State, number 1 or 2 or 3, whatever they are right now. Ole Miss ranked in the top 10. Tennessee ranked in the top 10. Georgia ranked in the top 10. Minnesota, well, they're not ranked in the top 10, but they have a good defense. They just don't have the offense to go along with it. Texas ranked in the top 10. James Madison, they're James Madison. And then you go, and there's Nebraska at 6.7 points a game, ranked 8th in total scoring defense so far this season. So a lot of teams are playing, when you go back and look, you probably find that Ohio State, Mississippi, Tennessee, Texas are probably in the top scoring teams because they've just been playing people and beating the shit out of them. But they're also up there too. And there's Nebraska at number 8. So, when they say, these are the two really statistics that count. Okay. And I use these statistics. I know that now we have a lot of advanced stats, like, Bill Connolly has his SP plus, ESPN has their power index, and come on, I'm missing one. What's the other one? Oh, success plays. Like Brandon Vogel, who used to write for Hill Varsity, he did success plays. Like how many times did you have success? How many plays were successful out of all the plays you ran? I tend to stay old school because I am old school, and anybody can understand these stats. And I like to be old school, which is another way of saying I'm just dumb. I'm not going to do advanced stats. So,
well, I appreciate you boiling it down for us.
Yeah. Well, we're just beginning. I was traumatized by statistics in engineering school, and I just anyway. Okay, so nationally, here's the other stuff you can do with this. So here's third down conversions and opponent third down conversions. So we have everything in here that you could use to look at a team. So let's look at opponent third down conversions. And let's go for Nebraska. Nebraska is 46th with 32.5% converting on third down. Know the conversion rate, right? So if we click on Nebraska, I want to say we can do this by split stats. Third down conversion, split stats, game log. Come on. It's not clicking. Oh, there we go. But I just, I'm a mad clicker. So third down conversion game log, UTEP, we gave up 30%. Northern Iowa, we did give up 37.5%. So that's a little higher than we want it to be. So we did give up more third down conversions. And as you said, probably right through, right through the first quarter was, they did a good job on their 10-minute, 24-hour drive that went 16 plays and I think 60, 70 yards. By the way, you'll notice that you can go back through this and you go back through the years, but we really don't want to do that because it's kind of traumatizing if you're a Nebraska fan. So we're not going to do that right now.
Just skip over the last decade.
So we're going to come back to that. We're going to come back to that in a little bit.
Okay.
Because we're going to, we'll get to, we're already at 8:18.
Yeah.
Let's see.
And there's some comments.
There are comments. Fred Sacco says Our Lady of the Blessed Bastard Community College starring John Johnston. That wasn't where I taught, by the way. Justin Rogie says, John, you need to get back to teaching college classes. These kids are getting too soft. I don't think they'd let me teach now. I don't really think I'd be allowed.
That's a shame.
Let's see. Aaron Keene says, Fred Sacco, we're traipsing across John's proverbial lawn, hoping to incite some sort of rant. Here's oh my God, you guys, so many expectations. This is, by the way, this is why comedians do a lot of coke. They always have to get up on stage and perform. And sometimes they're just like, oh my God, I ate too much spaghetti. We did that one already. David Matney makes a damn good point here. Isn't it nice to complain about how we won? And here, there's something very interesting going on 3 games into the 2024 season. We have already gotten to the point where we're kind of getting spoiled. Why is that, Minnie? What's going on? What do you think is going on?
I think it's exactly what you said in your reaction the other day. When we started the season, we were expecting, okay, we'll make it to a bowl game. After watching our team the first game, we're like, no. That expectation level for us fans has been raised because we've seen them play and we know this is a good team.
Yeah. I think that's a lot to do with it. You know what else has happened?
What?
I mean, in 3 games, think about this for a minute. We have a true freshman quarterback that is literally has got the buzz of the nation. I'm not a big Barstool guy, but I think there's this guy named Big Cat or something with Barstool. And he's already complaining about how Dylan Raiola shouldn't be copying Patrick Mahomes. Like, and it bothers him that he's doing that. And you're kind of like, we're 3 games into this guy's freshman season, and this bugs you. So obviously, people are paying attention to not just Nebraska, but for Dylan Raiola. And Patrick Mahomes helps with that obviously quite a bit. But It's interesting to see that people are like, just this already. They're just getting irritated with Dylan Raiola being in the news, apparently.
Why?
Because they're bastards. That's why. Because they're shit asses.
Fun. Don't we want our 19-year-old quarterback to have fun?
I mean, the whole pregame thing where he came over and, did the hopping thing. It's kind of like,
I love that.
When I was 19, I looked for people that were successful and I tried to emulate them.
Yes.
the circle jerks, for example.
John.
No, that's terrible.
Who else?
The Clash. Unfortunately, nobody would ask me to be a lead singer, but
That's too
I
bad.
yeah, I did run for
And they
president of
didn't.
the University of Nebraska, and that was a hell of a time. Uh,
Ooh.
David Mantney says if we win and he copies Mahomes, who cares? Yeah, I don't. I think it's neat. I think if Dylan Raiola can annoy more people, all the better
Mhm.
for him.
Yep.
I mean, he's not. I mean, he's not annoying people like Shadir said. Shadir is, where he's just
Sure.
a mouthy guy and does the, pointing at the watch stuff. I don't think there's anything Dylan has done that. Should we just be on a first name basis with him?
We are.
Okay, we are. I like how you say that. We are.
We
Okay.
are.
I don't know what this means. Fred Sacco says Cornhusker Corner. It is weird. I don't know what to do. I've usually turned hater by now.
Oh,
That
it
is
was
kind
this
of a
comment.
quandary for people.
It was
Go
this
ahead.
comment here by Cornhusker Corner. It says it's so weird being 3 games into the season and not being dead inside yet. This is what life is supposed to be.
It is
So
kind of
weird.
weird. And I think people are just, maybe people are a little bit, I don't know, apprehensive to love again. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. All right.
We're apprehensive for sure.
Brandon Stiver says when the expectations suddenly get higher, the nitpicking frequency also goes up. That is definitely true.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I'm not looking at the starred ones. For God's sakes.
Well, I know.
Never mind me says YouTube being some female dogs. Didn't get a notification. Yeah, I don't know how that works. You know what? I should have done the article earlier in the day. I think is the problem, but I was
Yeah.
a little bit overrun today. Jason Reeves says I think that if we don't have enough to bitch about, we invent shit. Can you think of it, Minnie? Can you think of anything else people really just complained about?
Well, unfortunately, I don't want to talk about it because I hate it. I
Okay.
don't think it's right. A lot of people were saying that Dylan needs to work on his deep throws.
I think that's
The
true.
deep ball.
Yeah.
I just don't. I mean, come on. This is. All right.
Hey, we're third. He's experienced now. He's had 3 games.
Exactly.
He
And
should be polished.
he's still. I just looked at a poll today for 24/7 Sports. He's still number 7 in the top 20 quarterbacks in the country. Number 7.
Wow. Is he? Let's look.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what it said.
Okay. Players. Passing.
Mhm.
Let's go take a look here.
Okay.
Shadir's up there. What do we got? Yards per game is what they're at. You can click on any
Mhm.
one of the rating or the columns across the top and see what they're at. So let's find Dylan. His rating is 30th. What at
Ooh.
at 162.23, which is still a pretty damn good rating. Let's look at the top. Ethan Hampton, Northern Illinois, Jackson Dart, Jalen Monroe, Cam Ward. Look at all of these players. Look at all of those players, and what do you see in common with all of those players until you get down to Nico from Tennessee?
They're all seniors and juniors.
Yes, exactly. Good job. So they are where they should be. They're senior quarterbacks. They've had a lot more experience. And the fact that he's down here at 30th, you'll notice that, let's see, there's one freshman that's above him, and that is Nico Leva from Tennessee, which is,
Oh yeah, they had a good game.
Yeah, that's
Had a good
again,
game.
these, the stats can be taken with a grain of salt kind of early in the season, but you still can look through them and get an idea of what we're looking at. So let's go ahead and look, and we'll see if Beth shows up here soon to talk about volleyball. But
Okay.
let's go ahead and look at rushing offense. So we're going to look at Nebraska. Nebraska is 57th at 171.33 per game. You go
Uh-huh.
to, let's look at average. Average is a really good way to determine whether or not your run game is doing worth a damn. 53rd at 4.94. So, again, could be higher. But let's look at Illinois. Oh, Illinois, 69th at 4.38, 153 yards a game. Being that Billima, Bert likes to run the ball.
Brett.
Bert is at 73rd. Illinois is 3 games into the season, and they are 73rd in rushing offense. So let's go back and take a look at passing offense. Let's see where we're at. Nebraska, I imagine, is down there, 52nd, which is in the middle of the pack at what is it, 250 yards per game. Let's look at Illinois, 73rd at 225 yards per game. You also notice that there isn't a lot of discrepancy. When you get way at the top, you get way at the top, right? 400.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get down at the bottom, you have service academies. Now, keep in mind, like I said, you can go back through the years on CFB stats. And when you do that, you will find Nebraska down there with the service academy. So, don't do that to yourself if you don't want to. Don't go back to the past and do that stuff. Another big margin. So it looks like, honestly, Nebraska's defense a little bit better than Illinois by statistics. Nebraska's offense a little bit better than Illinois. Let's look at another big one. Something that was so painful in the past, turnover margin. And we are at 22nd. And listen, this probably, I said before, scoring offense, scoring defense were the 2 biggest things for Nebraska over the past year. I mean, let's go back to, do you want to go back 1 year and take a look?
Oh. All right. I mean,
Okay,
we should
let's see.
because this is under Matt Rule, so we should.
2023, 132nd out of 133 teams, Nebraska. So go back to 2022. Where's Nebraska in 2022? 92nd. Where should we go back to 2021? Why not?
Oh
Again,
gosh. This is bringing up bad memories.
95th in 2000. But so,
we were just on a downward
again,
decline.
Again, horrifying, terrible stuff. Turnover margin for Illinois, if I can type correctly.
Oh, this is good. This is going to be good because they turn it over a lot, but they also make a lot of turnovers happen. No?
No, they're second in the nation. In other words, they're really good at taking the ball away.
They are really good at.
Yeah.
So what
right
happens
over
with
here
this? What happens? Oh, go ahead.
Right over here, we've got margin of 8. In other words, they've taken away the ball more than 8 more times than they've lost it. And we can go into this and we can see, let's look at their game log and see how many turnovers. Okay, well, they played Eastern Illinois and they had a turnover margin of 4. They played Kansas and had a turnover margin of 3. So Eastern Illinois, I don't think anybody would confuse them with a powerhouse, excuse me. Kansas was rated at the time they played them, and they got what'd they get? They picked off 3 balls and got a fumble. So, let's not be turning the ball over against Illinois. What else do you want to look at? What else do I usually look at?
Here's here's one of my notes that I made today after watching them is we need to clean up our penalties because when I was watching just even their highlights, I didn't see hardly any penalties called on them.
All right. Penalties, notice it's at yards per game and not number of penalties per game. but we can sort that way. So let's take a look at how much is Nebraska. 85th at 61.3 yards per game, which is 85th in the nation. Let's look at Illinois. 53rd.
Mhm.
And let's go for penalties per game. 71st, 6.3, and Illinois was up here around 6th, so they're tied for 63rd. So, I mean, let's face it, when we go, if we would looked at the game log for penalties, I think we would know what it would show for Nebraska playing Colorado and getting called for every holding penalty that non-existed or not.
Mhm.
I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you find this kind of stuff interesting or not. Because this again is since I didn't get any feedback from the Illinois people, apparently they're afraid. This is what I usually do to look at teams. Another big one that go ahead.
John, I think they're just stunned. Their team is 3-0. I think they're just stunned and don't know how to handle it.
That's true. It's gonna be a ranked game Friday night.
Yeah. It's
Do
insane.
you know what Nebraska's record is against ranked opponents?
Oh, no, I don't. What is it?
We're like,
I want to know.
I think the streak is we're 0-24 against our last 24 ranked opponents. I read that. I can't believe that. Maybe it's not true, but I did see that somewhere, and I thought that can't be true. On the other hand, we had 6-7 horrible freaking years of football. So can you think? I mean, let's go back to the guy we fired. He didn't have a single signature win in his entire 5-year career. So that's really not that hard to believe. So
it really
if we can start beat a ranked team, that'll be one thing that we can toss out, just like bowl games. People won't be able to bring that crap up anymore. Let's look at let's look at rushers and see if Illinois has any top rushers.
They do.
And they don't. That was Northern Illinois. So Illinois has nobody in the top 100. This is.
Oh, okay.
All right. And I doubt Nebraska does either. Oh, look at that. Dante Dowdell is 95th because we keep sharing carries with everybody.
Yeah. I looked at our running back and we have less carries, Dante Dowdell, compared to Illinois' highest carry running back. Dante Dowdell has less carries, so he's rated higher with less carries. That's awesome.
Never Mind Me says Dylan doesn't need to work on his deep throws. His wide receivers need to get separation. I think that is a really good point. That is true. Cornhusker Corner says if greatness process, if Dylan wants to be great, he needs to be working on everything all the time. Well, I think you get from the idea how they talk about him that he is an extremely diligent guy who is dead set on being the best. David Mantney says you might say we gravitated right past mediocrity.
Yes,
that's true.
I love that. That's a great comment.
Londell says Kansas has some problems this year. They will have to fight to get 6-6 with the loss to UNLV. Yeah, the loss to UNLV takes some shine off the Illinois win over Kansas. Okay. Is there any other? You know what we're going to do? We're going to bring in Beth and put a comment right over her face.
Oh, hi, Beth.
You two have never met, have you?
No. Hi.
No. Okay. I have met you because I've watched you before. So hi.
Hi.
Okay, Beth, is there any comments? Anything you want to say before we get into volleyball? Do you want to say anything about football?
No. It's exciting. I am a Nebraska fan through my husband, and he taught me to love Nebraska everything, and I taught him to love volleyball. And so he often says, you've never lived through the era of awesome Nebraska. And so I sure hope we're entering into that and that we're able to enjoy it like he tells me about.
Well, I keep forgetting that.
Yeah, I grew up in Michigan and I didn't see this. I wasn't a Michigan State or a Michigan fan, so let's just make that really clear. But I didn't experience the greatness that Nebraska has had.
Well,
You're
maybe
about to.
Yeah, I think we're going to see Friday night is going to tell us a lot. We said that about Colorado, didn't we? Those will tell us a lot about the season. Then we pounded the shit out of them, and then people are still like, they weren't that good. Well, they weren't that good, but we still beat the hell out of them. Like I said in both of those post-game reviews, there was never a single point in time in either of those games where Nebraska was going to lose either of those games. And I think, starting out the first quarter against Illinois, is that still going to be true? We're going to find out Friday night. All right. Okay. Jason Reeves says Dylan was born in a manger. Oh, my God. It's gotten that far. Okay. Beth. Nebraska volleyball. We lost. We lost to an unranked team. And people lost weight all over the state of Nebraska from pooping themselves so much. I mean, I watched that game. I watched that game, and my wife and I watched volleyball together, and she played volleyball in high school. She knows more about it than I do, but they didn't lack. They had a lack of effort. I think John Cook said something about that after the game. A lack of focus. And then they lost to SMU, and people are just like, it's almost like this season is over or something. So what's your take on that?
It was a really surprising loss, and certainly a team that we shouldn't have lost to talent-wise, preparation-wise. I did not expect that as a loss. I didn't even watch the game, so I had to go back and watch it once we lost because I had something else going on that night, and I was like, it's just SMU. So that I underplayed that. SMU has turned out to be, not as unknown, and they're ranked now. They were not when we lost to them, but they got ranked today. They're 23. They beat Baylor as well, and Baylor's, a pretty good team too. Still not a team we should have lost to, and still not something that Coach Cook would have asked for. And he commented the other day that he still thought Nebraska would be where they are today without that loss. So, there's all the theory and idea of it wakes you up, it, jolts you into the moment. Mm-hmm. We're not going to get to the championship match undefeated. So, there's that pressure just relieved right there, whether or not the coaching staff cares about that. But there you go. Yeah, let's not carry any monkeys into the championship match. I don't think that loss does anything in the conference season. I don't think it does anything for rankings when you get to the postseason. It's so far removed from December when the championships happen that SMU will not be talked about when we get to championship time.
You look at football. All right. It's been around, obviously, for a long time, gone through the ups and downs and all like that. Everybody has players. You know what I mean? Every team has a player. Everybody has players you got to watch out for when you're playing football. I think volleyball probably, let's say 10 years ago. Let's go to 10 years ago. And let's say volleyball, and I'll make this statement. I want you to tell me if I'm right or wrong. 10 years ago, you could count on the top 20 teams pretty much having all the really good players in volleyball. And now over the past 10 years, this sport has expanded to the point that everybody has players. I mean, Iowa doesn't have players, for God's sakes, but you know what I mean? Pretty much everybody else but Iowa has volleyball players. You get what I mean?
Yeah, there's more talent. Yep.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Wow.
You're not wrong. It's true. Everybody has players, and the players can play at a higher level and more schools. And so They're competing with each other. You know, when I played for Army and we got the thrill of our lives every spring season, we went and played Penn State, and we had no chance against Penn State, right? Russ
Right.
Rose was
Yeah.
well established, and
That fat bastard.
I don't think he was as fat back then, but we went and, you know, I blocked somebody some point, and it was the thrill of my life. But there was no chance we were beating Penn State, even with their second team in there. Maybe that's an extreme example, but there are more teams with good players. And, you know, we also still have the fatness of the COVID players that are playing their fifth year.
Right.
And so that bulk of players that have stuck around, and many of them transferred to just pick the team they want. They know who's
Right.
going to be good. And so they pick that team knowing that this is it. This is my last shot. And so I'm going to go play for the team that I think has the chance. I think, you know, the middle for Creighton that transferred from Kentucky, right? She just selected Creighton as her fifth year school. Good choice, a program she wanted to be a part of. Maybe they also had some academics that she liked, but she said, I won a national championship with Kentucky. I think I can do it with Creighton too. Getzinger is her name. That quality of player is happening, one, because of the high school level and the club level being better, but also the players that have stuck around and just have a ton of experience.
Okay. All right. So you're watching volleyball across the board.
I like to watch a lot of different teams. I like to see, you know, all these matchups that are on TV. This has been an amazing pre-conference season, both in the matchups, the number of good teams that are playing each other, and the amount of coverage it's getting on the TV. I can come home on a Wednesday night and watch volleyball on the TV. That's dreamy for somebody like me.
Okay, Texas has lost.
Yeah, most recently to Stanford, an opponent we really care about. They lost in 3 sets to Stanford on Saturday afternoon, evening, wherever you are.
So, well, let's not. Let's go there. Well, first of all, before I get to the what I'm going to ask about the top teams, many, you know, that if you want to get in here, you just have to interrupt me, right?
You know, it's not so much that I do, but I think the chat does.
Oh, they
have some comments.
Do they? Well, take the comments.
Here's one of the comments for Beth. Living in Omaha, David Matney says, I heard Dylan. Whoops, that's not it. Sorry. You're like, what does that have to do with volleyball? Here it is. He said, Nebraska volleyball is the current day version of the 90s Osborne years. So you've heard a lot about the 90 Osborne years. Do you think that perhaps, you know, this is like a similar thing going on with volleyball?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's happening at Nebraska. Nebraska's had a lot of years of really, really top level and great expectations where winning is expected and happens on a regular basis at the national level, not just, you know, picking and choosing who you win against. But I also think volleyball in general, so I don't know when that happened for football. Like, when is football's heyday? It's been a lot of decades, I think, for football to be a really beloved and pined after sport. But volleyball is, I think, had a gained interest by a lot of different folks, people that haven't watched in the past, people that maybe don't understand it. And there's a response. You know, the game needs to change a little bit, get rid of double contact calls, speed up systems like line judges that make errors because they're humans, and replays that take forever to review. The game has to evolve to keep those fans. But I think that volleyball is in a place in a lot of programs around the country where they have a fan base. The fan base is loyal and comes to their games on a regular basis. But then the game has to respond and then be a better game for a lot more viewers to like it and enjoy it and understand it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I was there to teach my husband about volleyball, right? I sat next to him and I was like, this is what this means. And this, but not everybody has, you know, Beth sitting next to them.
Yeah.
I'll sit and explain it to you over the computer all day. But understanding the game is essential to loving the game. And so if people don't understand what's being called, net violations probably have to evolve in some way. so that it keeps the players safe, right? You can't tear the net down and knock somebody over. There's no tackling in volleyball's future, but there needs to be an evolution so that net violations are not the match decision-making moment.
Really?
It seems like there's quite a few stars, if you will, on our volleyball team too, which is really fun to watch.
Yeah, I think there's some
the fact that
big personalities.
I know names, the fact that I
Yeah.
know any of their names is a big deal, because all I do, really care about is football. But no, the volleyball team is up there as far as, having stars.
Yeah, there's some obviously really good players, but I think their personalities can kind of back that up. Andy Jackson's spin celebration is really fun to watch. That just brings you joy when she celebrates. Lainey Choboy running around the court after she does something, tackling people in the crowd to get the ball. But then there's just like the fundamentally really good players. Lexi Rodriguez is, she's got a playing card out there because so many little girls want to be Lexi Rodriguez.
Really?
And she is the best libero in the country, period. No more sentences. I have a bias. I'm wearing a red shirt, but Lexi Rodriguez is the best libero in the country. And I think she'll back that up by, after she leaves Nebraska's program, going on and having a career on the national team, the Olympic team. I think that is a very real possibility for her making that transition to the next level. We have a lot of really good players, and then players that sort of translate and are real. I think Harper Murray was super real on the documentary. She was, both she and her family were open and available to talk about some really challenging stuff that happened in the past and is still happening, right? I'm sure she still gets a ton of hate messages on whatever social media, and that's her day to day. And she was open and pretty vulnerable about that.
All right, we have to. Tackle Farms gives us a $20 super chat. Thank you. Corn Nation says Corn Nation loves seeing this. Well done. Go Big Red. Well, we love, know what? If we could cover every sport that Nebraska has, I'd do that. The one, just an aside for just a second. I think the one sport that Nebraska is going to be up and coming in over the next, the rest of your lives, because yours are going to be longer than mine. So it's going to be a long period. I think we're going to make noise in track and field from now on. I don't mean just like making noise in the Big Ten. We sent a girl a young woman to the Olympics that was a Nebraska player. What was he, shot put? I can't remember off the top of my head. But you know what I mean? There you go. Okay, yes. Back to volleyball. Barnaby Jones says, love you, John. I love you too. Thank you very much. I had to get that one in there.
John. Okay. Vince Watson wants to know how many future Olympians are on the Husker team right now.
I'm going to go with 3. Oh, wow. Oh, why didn't you use just one hand?
I don't know what I'm
doing. 5. Kindergarten teachers all over the world are like, what's going on?
3, my lord.
All right. Lexi Rodriguez, I think, yes. I think Harper Murray, she's a young college player right now, just a sophomore, but she said she has the aspiration for it. So I think that obviously makes it even more possible. But she has a great skill set as well that she's going to continue to work on. And then I think Merritt Beeson.
Is she Nebraska's best? Harper Murray, is she Nebraska's best all-around player?
Yes. And last year, I don't think that was true. I think she had a lot of things that Nebraska needed. She was able to get kills at will. But this year, she's passing really well. And that's a huge part of the game, right? You can't do anything if the first contact is not quality and in a place where you're dangerous in multiple ways. So she's passing really well this year, even when teams are targeting her, even when they're going after her with the serve. So her passing is a lot better. She's hitting really well out of the back row. So she's a threat from the front row and the back row. And in the last few games, we've seen her play really smart. She's not just drilling the ball into the court. And she didn't just do that last year, but she's been so wise with her shots, tipping, sometimes rolling, sometimes hitting into trouble spots for other teams. And it just seems well timed. She's seeing the opportunity in front of her and she's taking advantage of it. She has the skill to put the ball in the spot she needs it at the right time. And that's a lot of pieces coming together time after time. She still really is able to earn kills at will for Nebraska, most situations. She's a well-rounded player for us. Yes.
Go ahead,
Love
Minnie.
that. Oh, I was just going to ask one more question from Paul Dalen. Wants to know, who is the most improved?
I think Andy Jackson. I think there's probably a lot of improvement in different places, but Andy Jackson's improvement is making the biggest impact. She is causing trouble for teams in a way that she did not last year. She was always very athletic and always able to move very quickly on the court, close the block, be up and available for an offensive option for Bergen Riley. But this year she's causing, if you think of the opposing team's preparation for Nebraska, last year they probably prepared for Harper Murray and Merritt Beeson,
right?
And maybe thought about the middles as well, right? Let's talk about those middles, but they really prepared for Harper Murray and Merritt Beeson. This year they are preparing 100%. I'm confident in that, for both of our middles, but specifically for Andy Jackson. They're talking about how do we slow her down. I don't think anybody really thinks they can stop her. She hits over people. She's faster than people. And so I think her improvement.
She's got that slide thing going on too, doesn't she?
Yes. Yeah. So she comes around the setter. And, if you watch her from behind, she'll start in the same position when she's going to run that slide behind, or when she's going to do something in front. She disguises what she does. And then when she runs the slide, she'll take one step forward and then two really quick steps to the pin to get to that slide. And so if you don't get those two steps before she gets those two steps, because you don't know what she's doing, she's up and over you and you're still like, oh, she's running the slide. It's a trick. So I think Andy Jackson is the most improved, and the most improved that impacts the whole Nebraska team. When she is who the other team is preparing for, then, Merritt Beeson is better when she's in the front row. Then Harper Murray is better on the other side. The block for the other team can't get to all of these players. They have to make choices, and Andy Jackson is a choice they have to choose to defend. Otherwise, she's hitting 700 for the night, and that's bad for the other team.
Okay, Paul Dalen gives us a $2 super chat and says, Jackson was my choice too. Thank you, Paul. Go Big Red, go Army.
Go Army.
Paul is a Army guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Creighton.
Yeah.
That number one, this had to be in all of human history, through the Pleistocene, the Erodocene ages, I don't know whatever ages there were, through all the millennia to right now in 2024, was this the best volleyball ever played in the state of Nebraska?
Okay, yeah, two Nebraska teams playing each other. I think so. I mean, Creighton's had a very nice trajectory, improving for probably the last 8 to 10 years. There's been another 5-set match. I think just one, maybe 2 5-setters in that last span of 8 to 10 years. So Creighton's been very good for a long time. But I was about 50-50 on this as we went into the match. I was surprised we were up 2-0 when we got there. I was not surprised to see Creighton respond to being down 0-2. So this was great.
Wait a minute.
Volleyball.
Wait. I'd like to prefer what happened against Creighton is like when our cat is outside and it finds something and it's just going to bat around for a while before it kills it. That's what I looked at the Creighton. That's what I thought. Oh, they're just screwing around. And then come on, in the 5th set, they just said, okay, we're done with this. And they just blew them away.
I don't think so. I think that if Nebraska could have finished them in 3, they would have. They sure tried to win that third set and gave everything they had to win it. What did we finish? 31-33. So that was a fought for set, and Nebraska would have taken it had they been able to. I think that took a lot of energy and mental effort. So I think the fourth set, I think they were trying. I don't think they were giving up, but there just wasn't a lot in the tank, right? They had to go on the bench and eat some of the little gummy things that they eat and read juice and refocus. You after a loss like that, where you really did, you threw everything at it. Or are we using the cat analogy still? We batted it around as hard as we could, and I think they really wanted to win that third set. And so when they didn't, and they had thrown everything at Creighton, and in the post game, this is the match where Lainey Choboy ended up in the front row, which was not ideal. That's never is what you want, but it was super fascinating to watch her still be effective. And her volleyball smarts were on display, where she got in positions where she was useful still. Even a 5'3" player can be useful that close to the net, not blocking though. But Coach Cook said he felt so confident we were going to win that match. He had 2 rotations where they would have sided out and won the match before Choboy got to the front row. So he knew he had run out of subs. It wasn't a forgetful moment for him. He made the choice that, no, we're going to win this. It's before we get into this situation. So they would have won in 3 if they could have. So that was they lost those 2 sets.
She needs to learn how to throw herself at the floor less hard, because it hurts me. It hurts.
I promise
me.
It doesn't hurt
it's
her.
Just like, oh God, yeah. What the hell?
It doesn't hurt.
You know what? Here's the theory. The floor gets harder when you get older. So when she does that, I'm like, things are starting to break. Okay. Justin Rogge has an actual volleyball question. Mm-hmm. Beth, what are your thoughts on the PVF and LOVB, and how can it impact our national teams and perhaps college teams? Explain what he's talking about, will you please?
Yeah, these are volleyball leagues, professional paid volleyball leagues that are in the United States now. And, the impact that these are already making on both college players and potential national team players is it's keeping them at home. It's giving them an option to be in the United States, closer to family and friends. During the Louisville and Creighton match the other night or day, they were playing, and there was a woman from Mexico, plays with the Mexican national team, and she was hoping to play for one of the U.S. professional leagues. And so the only option in the past, if we went back to those, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, volleyball days, was to play in Europe. Some other leagues have started up around the world, but there was never an option to play in the United States. There was a brief period in the early 2000s where a league started up. It flopped super fast. So these professional leagues being here in the United States gives U.S. players more options. There's a limited number of spots per European rosters for U.S. players. They'd only allow 3 or 4 per roster. So you had to be the best of the best to go play in Europe. They limited it because there were so many players who wanted to be there. And so there's more places available for you to play professionally. Now you can play at home. And so potentially you can be training for your, Grand Rapids team or your Lincoln team or whoever you're playing for, and still be close to home, playing in front of family and friends. So they'll make a difference, and they'll even bring some international players in here, which will only elevate the level of volleyball. You'll get more fans, and those fans produce kids who want to play, and then more people who want to coach. It keeps the cycle of volleyball going. Okay.
Leo Slabowski says, Also, I think if Laney did not have to play in the front row, we would have won in 3. I don't know. It was a pretty close match.
Yeah, so Coach Cook would have had to leave in Merritt Beeson in the back row. And so then she would have served and she would have played those back row rotations. And I think Merritt does okay in the back row. I don't remember any pivotal plays that Choboy had. I'm sure she passed some serves, though, in those rotations in the back row. So, and then she would have come back around to the front and been able to, Merritt Beeson would have been able to block like she normally does. But yeah, it's possible. But it's also possible that Merritt would have, shanked a serve receive pass off into the stands and we would have lost too. So
Paul Dalen says Creighton is a legit top 10 team. They will go deep in the tourney.
Yeah, I agree. They got, the rankings came out again today. Creighton's number 9. They lost a very close 5-set match to Louisville just before the Texas and Stanford match happened. Yeah, it was a very good match. I think the same thing happened. They got down 0-2 to Louisville. Then they won the next 2, and then they lost the 5th. So your hearts are breaking if you're a Creighton fan. But I don't think they're breaking, without repair, because I agree. I think Creighton can be a very scary team to face in the tournament. They have a lot of seniors, a lot of experience on their team. Like I mentioned, they've got that middle that won a championship with Kentucky. Nora Sis is a very veteran player. Kendra Waite is their setter. She's also a senior. They have a ton of experience on their court. So Creighton will be someone that you do not want to face in the tournament, and you hope they're not in your corner of the bracket.
They're going to stick us together.
Okay, if we say that, maybe it's less likely. Like maybe we are undoing it.
Okay, Dana Williams asked how the next opponent, right, on Wednesday?
Yes, let's talk about Stanford.
How do the Huskers compare to Stanford?
Yeah, I think these two teams are both very well-rounded. Stanford is a very balanced attack. So their setter is a senior, Cammie Minor. She's really offensive, so she's going to attack the ball on us. She's going to be very aggressive. They run a fast offense, not as fast as Arizona State's, right? That ball got to their outside hitters super fast. But they have 2 very good outside hitters, and they will get most of the sets. So Elia Rubin is their most potent, most reliable offensive weapon. So she's an outside hitter. She's a junior. She's played for Stanford consistently for 3 years. So Elia Rubin is going to receive a lot of serve receive balls, and she's going to get a ton of sets. And their other outside hitter is a Turkish player. And so she is a redshirt freshman, but she's super smart. She hits off hands really well. She's a more veteran player than any freshman that you might have from the United States, right? She's played a lot of ball in Turkey. And then their right side is Jordan Harvey. She's very explosive, very fast. I think the major advantage Nebraska has in this game is in the middle. Sammy Francis is a name that a lot of people will remember for Stanford. She's a senior, but the other middle is a freshman, and her name's Lizzie Andrews. And so she's a true freshman. She doesn't have the experience. She won't get as many sets. And I think Nebraska can really take advantage of these middle matchups because in everywhere else, their libero is phenomenal. She's a senior as well. So the thing that Nebraska has to do well, one of Stanford's strengths is serving. And so they served Texas off the court, and it's a little raw for me because that's what Texas did to us in the championship last year. We're just going to move forward from that. Stanford did it to Texas. Balls were flying off Texas players' arms into the stands, dropping in front of them. Stanford won on an ace. They beat Texas match point on an ace. Like, that's bad. It's hard.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
It's in volleyball, like that breaks your heart. You're like, oh, but you're right. Texas lost. That's fine.
Yeah.
So a very good serving team, but that's okay. We're a very good passing team. right? That's why Coach Cook makes all those
Mhm.
substitutions. That's why Lainey Choboy comes in. That's why Olivia Mock comes in. So Lexi Rodriguez, Lainey Choboy, Olivia Mock, they will receive as many balls as they can. Harper Murray is a good passer. So with those 4, we can receive Stanford's serve. And if we're able to get good passes, our middles should be able to beat their middles. Obviously, it's not always going to be that one-on-one.
Right.
Another one of our strengths is our set distribution, that Bergen Riley does give it to all 5 of her hitters, and she does it on a balanced basis that leaves blockers guessing, and it allows each one of those attackers to individually attack their defense. And so, right, Harper Murray is doing that short shot, doing that cut shot, doing that line shot. And so she's doing this own sort of cat and mouse game with their defense inside of the set distribution game that Bergen Riley is playing. So they're serving versus our passing, and then our middles versus their middles. I think this is a very good match. What am I doing? What are you laughing at?
Oh my God. This is like me trying to talk to my doctor about DNA or something. It's like, oh God, what information.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so excited about this match.
It's okay. You know what? This is
on
what
Wednesday.
I love about you.
Wednesday.
It's on
BTN.
I was going to ask that. Are all the games aired on BTN for the most part?
A lot of Nebraskas are, but there are some on BTN Plus.
Okay.
But this one's on BTN. Wednesday is on BTN. Yeah.
Awesome. What time?
It's at 7:00. Oh, I overwhelmed John. I hope I didn't overwhelm anybody else.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'm going to write it all down.
Okay,
just reread it, John.
It boils down to this. Pass well on service and attack the middle.
Yes.
Okay. Is that right?
Yes. No, it's exactly right. It was a lot of me talking, and that's all I said.
She's being kind, I think, John.
I paid more attention to you than I probably did my wife. So there you go. Okay.
I'm very excited for this match.
Are you? Okay. All right. We have some more comments we need to take. David Maddy says still boils down to coaching. John Cook is a great coach. He is. Jason Reeves a little while ago said, how is Nebraska not hosting the top 4 teams in Memorial Stadium every August volleyball kickoff classic? What do you think of that?
Playing volleyball outside it's hard.
Dicey.
It's called beach volleyball. I mean,
yeah.
I hear Jason's comment, and Memorial Stadium holds a lot more people than the Devaney Center. So acknowledge the Memorial Stadium matches were phenomenal for many reasons, but they were not indoor volleyball. I mean, indoor volleyball is about precision. It's about, exact. Beach volleyball is a different game, right? That's why it's a whole different category in the NCAA. And it's fun. But indoor volleyball, it's a fun game, but it isn't indoor volleyball.
Right.
Part of what I like about indoor is that precision and the control of the ball and how teams are challenged to do that.
So what you're saying is, if they're going to renovate Memorial Stadium, build a dome.
Yes. There's the solution to everything.
They'd be able to host just about any sport and people would go.
Yeah.
Okay. What else do we got? Jason Reeves asks a question. I have no idea what the answer is. Maybe the tackle guy can tell us. I got to know, what does tackle, TAKL, stand for? The other guy that gave us the super chat. Everyone called our farms Arby's. Reeves brothers hated that. Do you know what he's talking about, Minnie?
I'm not exactly sure what TAKL stands for, but I do know that his real name is Todd. And so I just wanted to shout out to Todd. Thank you for the super chat.
Linda Wilkins is past her bedtime, obviously. She said, good night, John and Minnie. Great show tonight. Beth, thanks for stopping by. I always enjoy when you stop by. Yeah, we should probably plan on doing this on a fairly regular basis, because like I said, my goal is to cover, we know that football pays all the bills, but volleyball needs to be covered as well because people love it. I love volleyball.
I think it's exciting.
It's
I love, especially hearing you talk about it, Beth. It makes me excited. I'm watching the game Wednesday.
Maybe there's some way you could arrange to like do breakdowns.
Oh, I thought you were going to say break dance. I can't break dance, John. But
not mental breakdowns like I have, but mental or breakdowns of volleyball. Or we could, last year I think we did a show where we talked a lot about teaching people about volleyball. Maybe we could do another one of those.
Yeah. Yeah. I enjoy teaching and I love volleyball. So those two things together, I can
You coached at the Division I level, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I played at Army, and then towards the end of my Army career, I went back and coached there. And, I coach just kids now. I coach 6th graders and 3rd graders. So it's a much different thing, but I like to coach. I enjoy teaching the game.
Did the parents scream at you as much as they do in
Do you think I would let people scream at me, John? Do I look like someone that you should scream at? I mean, I might look nice, but don't scream at me.
Okay, that was a
sorry. It's a little bit of my Army coming out.
It's okay. I get it. Okay. Justin Rogie asked a while ago, Beth, have you heard any more about the USA headquarters moving to an area outside of Omaha?
I haven't heard anything more. No, I don't know. But USA Volleyball is not, they're pretty tight-lipped. I don't know. I think we'll know when they move. So no, I don't know.
And then Greg says, everyone hit that like button like you're Ty Robinson chasing down Shittier Sanders. And please do that if you're on Facebook or on Facebook too, and on YouTube. I don't know how Beth works, how Twitter works. What else do we have? Anything about volleyball?
Well, the Stanford match is on Wednesday, but then followed quickly behind that is a match against Louisville. So Louisville is also a top team there. Who they get ranked? They're 4th, so one above us. We're 5 still this week. So we've got a bunch of really good matches. And then after Louisville, we start into the Big Ten season and we host UCLA. So these are, 3 big matches straight in a row for Nebraska.
So what do you have any idea what the big, let's finish with this. Do you have any idea what the Big Ten might look like? I mean, they still got the Shrek girl in Wisconsin, and the damn Sarah Franklin's still there. But, they didn't look that impressive when I watched them. I can't remember who I watched them against. But, I mean, they're still Wisconsin.
Yeah, they'll be a top 10 team. They're having some hiccups, though. They have a freshman setter, so they're working through but they don't look like they're the top team. The best team besides Nebraska in the Big Ten right now looks like it's Penn State.
Really?
They look great, and right now they're ranked number 3 in the country, so 2 above us. They're undefeated. They have a freshman setter as well, and they also have 2 transfers from Nebraska. Maggie Mendelson transferred there, and Jaravicious transferred there. She was a right side freshman last year, and she didn't play at all, and she didn't like that. And I don't, if I was a volleyball player right now, I'd want to play too. Heck, I'm an old lady and I want to play too. So I want, them to be on the court. That's what they want. Anyway, so Penn State looks really good. Wisconsin looks okay. Minnesota's got some hiccups going too.
All right.
Purdue looks really good again. Oregon USC looks good. Yeah, Allie Batenhorst transferred to USC, and she looks up. She's their best player, and that's good for her. But I don't think they're going to be in the running for the Big Ten championship. But they're a team you don't want to overlook. They're a good team. Oregon is going to be somewhere in the mix. Probably one notch below. The top notch right now for me is Penn State, Nebraska, and Wisconsin. Wisconsin's a 3rd in that notch. And then probably Purdue, Wisconsin, Oregon, and then, into the Oregons and the USCs. Am I forgetting anybody there? Michigan State looks not very good. Western Michigan from my hometown in Kalamazoo, Michigan beat Michigan State. So that doesn't happen many years. I mean, go Broncos, but it's It's bad
But
for a
Taylor,
Big Ten team.
what's going on with Taylor Landfair?
Yeah, so she transferred into Nebraska over the off
Right.
season. Star outside hitter for Minnesota for 4 years. I think she's still getting used to what's going on at Nebraska. I agree with the way Coach Cook is playing this lineup. Lindsey Krause on the outside with Harper Murray. I think they go in order: Harper Murray, Lindsey Krause, Taylor Landfair. What Taylor Landfair offers is a different look, though. And so I think it's a very wise move for him to be, quick to put Taylor Landfair in there. She hits at a different level. She's 6'5", and so she hits over people. She can hit angles that other outside hitters can't. So she's not a great passer, and she's not a great defensive player. So I think she has to be used well, but I don't think she's going to be the Big Ten Player of the Year at University of Nebraska like she was 2 years ago at Minnesota.
Okay. Anything else? Minnie, you got anything else?
No, I'm so excited. I've been writing all this down as you're talking. So thank you, Beth. Gosh.
I could talk volleyball all night, so you're going to have to cut me off.
You know what I'm looking forward to now that you bring that up? I am looking forward to hating Penn State again. Because, I haven't hated them since that Ross guy left.
They play on Wednesday night, too, against the number 1 team in the country. I don't remember what channel that one's on, but Pitt versus Penn State on Wednesday night as well. So, if you want to be a true volleyball fan, get like 3 screens up, and you've got Pitt versus Penn State that night, Louisville versus the University of Kentucky that night, and then, of course, Nebraska versus Stanford. So, whew.
Aaron Keene says, Minnie is taking notes. Imagine that. That's what she does. All right. What else do we have? Illinois Friday night, Stanford Wednesday night.
I just want to know, John, are you going to give kind of a score prediction prior to the game? The football game, I mean?
Probably somewhere.
Because there's other games. Okay.
Did you want me to do this now?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
unless you need more time.
You know what? It's at home on Friday night in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I think that we've seen that. Yesterday I went over to my son's house. He has like I'm going to get in trouble for this. My family, 13 or 14-year-old granddaughter, and she wants to go to a Nebraska game. I looked at her and I said, "You really want to go to a night game? What is it now? 3 night games in a row? 4, 3?
Yeah, 3. It'll be 3.
I mean, it's a night game in Lincoln, Nebraska on a Friday night.
On a Friday.
Put it this way. How many points do you think? This all comes down to possessions and things like that. Nebraska's done a good job of not turning the ball over. How many points do you think Illinois is going to score against us?
Oh, I asked you this, John.
You
I
did.
wasn't prepared.
I'm going to answer it. I'm going to say they're going to score between 13 and 17 points against us. If they get a turnover, something like that, then add 7. So their max against our defense is 24 points if we screw up. What can our offense do against Illinois? Well, let's go back and look at, let's look at one more statistic for the night. Illinois is 33 in total defense, giving out 274.7 yards a game. I think we could score at least 28 points against them. And since we have Dylan Raiola, that's a 7-point advantage there. So I'm going to go with 34-17 in Nebraska over Illinois.
Okay. I'm writing this down, John.
Oh, of course you are. How have you stayed married this long? Okay. Mike, did you guys watch one more thing? Did you watch any NFL?
All I've done is college football.
Okay. I watched, I never really liked Caleb Williams that much, but I don't want him dead. I mean, Chicago's offensive line is so unbelievably terrible. That guy isn't going to make it through the season alive. Anyway, I guess that's my last point. Paul Dalen says Huskers cover. Greg says Altemeyer is a mobile QB, and we don't typically do well against those. Greg, nobody does good against mobile quarterbacks. That's why they're mobile quarterbacks. That's why they're so dangerous.
Mhm.
All right. I think, what I'm doing? I'm delaying ending the show because I still have never thought about writing an outro or coming up with a good outro. So thank you, Beth, for showing up and completely
I
overwhelming
have an
my brain.
outro. I
Do
have
ya?
an outro. Yes. Thank you for watching Coronation. And don't forget, every night here on Coronation, you can find a show about movies, volleyball, and football. Join us.
Wait.
Oh, Beth, your prediction against Stanford.
Nebraska wins in 5.
Oh my God, it's one of those games.
Yeah, get your heart calmed down before the game because it's not going to happen during.
Oh wow. You're going to the game.
I'm going to the game.
Okay, so if you're in Lincoln and you're a volleyball fan, say hello to Beth and ask her volleyball questions and then have some water close to you so you don't get God.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait, real quick. Justin Raji wants us to pull up his volleyball prediction.
Okay.
Can you see that, Beth?
Mm-hmm.
Nebraska
What do you think?
26-24, 25-20, 25-18, Stanford 25-21.
Are those so Stanford wins like one of those in there, right?
3-1. 3-1.
Okay. I can go with 4 sets, but I think it's
Yeah.
gonna go 5, Justin. I hope you're right, but I
Oh. Okay.
Okay, see you there, Beth. Paul Dalen says. Okay, that's it. Good night, everybody. Thank you for watching us. Thank you for your support, and thank you, Beth, for joining us, and thank you, Minnie, for the help. And we'll see you. And y'all take care and go Big Red. There you go.
Go Big Red.
I'm actually ending.